What's up YouTube, it's your boy Senekill back in the shop, and today I'm going to do a video on a bumper I started building here recently, and I just finished it up today. I figured I'd show you guys to give you maybe some ideas in case you have this same four-wheeler. Ever since I bought the four-wheeler, I've wanted to get a bumper for it, but the only ones they sell online are just bolt-on brush guards, and in my mind I kind of just imagined a peel and stick tattoo. Like it just kind of seemed pointless. And on top of that, most of the ones I got out there, in my opinion, are a little bit ugly. So yeah, I just figured I'd wait it out and till I could build my own, and now I have the means to do so. So that's what I did. I built this bumper mostly out of 1-inch 120 wall DOM tubing. I went with DOM because right now DOM is really cheap where I'm at. The 1-inch 120 wall ran me $2.20 a foot, so it seemed like I couldn't go wrong there. I started out with the actual bracket for the bumper, the lower bracket. I used the original mounts, just the parts where that are the squished pieces of tube or whatever that was on the original bumper on the lower end, and I just cut off the smash parts and used those as little tabs on a piece of 1/8 inch flat bar, and I made my own little mount from that. And then after I did that, I started bending up tubes and I built off of that. Once before I made the mistake of building the bumper, then trying to come up with the mounts, and it just made things almost impossible. So this time around I decided to start with the mount. Those are the two of the original mounts that I used, and then the other two are up towards the top where there's two holes in the plastics, and it's right below the handlebars, and there's two, it looked like maybe 3-inch pieces of pipe or whatever, no more than maybe 3/4 inch, and on one end of them they're squished and they have a hole drilled through them, and then it's bolted to the frame of the four-wheeler. So I just cut those off right below the weld on the rack, and at first I tried tack welding it to my DOM tubing that was coming up as an upper support, and that didn't really work out because as soon as I started to actually weld it, it just started to melt out and it just went horrible. So I cut those off, cut them down a little bit, cut all the junk off of it, and then I ground the little pieces of pipe down and to the size that I could slide them inside of my 1-inch DOM, and then I notched my 1-inch DOM and made my own little mount like that. And after I notched it, I welded that part to the upper support mounts, or upper support tubes that I made. For the most part, I just tacked everything together, and then not everything, because once you got certain pieces in place it would have been impossible to get full welds on. So I'd tack most of it and then weld and then tack and weld. I still ended up with some distortion, and I actually had to use a hammer, and I just took like a rubber pad and put it on the tube after I painted it and just tapped it back into place. It was a little bit of a pain, but it was kind of impossible to avoid. But yeah, let's get to it. I'll show you guys what I built, and maybe you can get some ideas from it. Alright YouTube, this is what we ended up with all said and done. I decided to put a stinger on it just because I haven't seen an ATV bumper with a stinger. So yeah. Let me show you the mounts. This is one set. This is the upper set of mounts that I used. This right here is off of the original rack. I don't know, there we go. You can see right here is where it slides up into the DOM, and like I said, I couldn't fully weld it just because that stuff's so thin. It just kept melting out. This is where I ended up having the warpage, and I ended up having the hammer right here and on the other side to get this to go down. But it wasn't too bad. But that's those mounts. And then let me get, all right, there we go. Right here is the original lower mounts, just these little tabs from here to here. I cut it off right here and then welded it to this piece of 1/8 inch flat bar,
And as you can see back here, I left a gap on this plate right here in the center. I left a gap between it and the flat bar. That way, if dirt accumulates or whatever, I can just spray it, and I'll never have like a big problem with it staying right in there. It'll just wash right out. But yeah, I used those mounts, and this is the starting point. I started with this piece of flat bar and these mounts, and then I bent these tubes, these 2 tubes right here on both sides, and started there, and then worked my way up to this tube right here, and then the back one. I don't know if you can see it. This tube right here. And then after that, I added in these diagonal pieces and then the stinger. And then I came off of that with these upper supports. And then I just tacked those in place. And then I figured out what I needed to for the mounts on that. And then while it was bolted down, I added in these 2 right here. But yeah, that's what we ended up with. I hope you guys can pull some ideas from it. I haven't seen anything out there really like this on a rancher anyways. So yeah, that's about it. Hope I was able to help you guys out. Peace.